It's February 18th, and we're in Elgin Academy, and this is Mr. Richie Fricke. What's your birthday?
November 26, 1926.
And it's the people attending the interview are Jimmy, Elio on sound, and Mr. Fleener on the video camera. And we're working with Elgin Academy and Gail Borden Public Library. What branch did you serve in the Army?
I served in the Army Infantry.
Okay.
Actually, when I was only 17, I was going to join the Navy Air Corps, and they told me to automatically be in the Air Corps when I came through the draft, but the war was going real bad, so I went into the Army Infantry.
Okay, and what was your rank?
I was a sergeant.
Okay, and where did you serve?
In Manila, in the Philippine Islands.
Okay, and what type of work did you perform, not in the Army, but as a civilian?
I was a civilian. I was an engineer for years until I retired.
Okay.
After I graduated from college.
And what war did you serve during?
World War II.
Yeah. Okay, and did you draft or did you enlist?
Oh, I was drafted. I was only 2 months over 18 when I was drafted.
Okay, and where were you living at the time when you were drafted?
I was living at home with my folks right here in Elgin.
Okay, and why did you pick the service branch that you joined?
I had no choice.
Oh. And do you recall your first days in service?
Oh, yes. They're quite different.
Okay, and what did your first days, what do they feel like? What experiences did you
get? The first day in the service, everything was so different, and you'd meet a lot of people. It seemed like the group I was with were kids from New York City or from the backwoods country type boys, and they were all real nice people. I was real nice group.
Okay, and do you remember your instructors?
I remember our platoon sergeant, who was about the meanest guy I ever met, Sergeant DePippo, if I was his name. But he did us a world of good, you know. So we were going overseas to be in combat, and he wanted us prepared. But he was real tough on us. At the time, I hated him, and now I really respected him.
Okay, and how did you get through boot camp or your training?
Well, I went to Camp Croft, South Carolina, for basic training, and then I had about a 10-day leave. Then I went to Fort Rucker, Alabama, for advanced infantry training.
Okay, and where exactly did you go in World War II?
We went after advanced infantry, went to Fort Ord, California, and I shipped over to the Philippine Islands, to Manila. When we got to Manila, I should tell you that Manila Bay, this was right after the Japanese had surrendered. You'd see ships upside down in the water with that big red rising sun insignia and ships too. It was just terrible. And there were barge after barge of Japanese prisoners. It was completely different. The country was pretty much devastated.
And what job were you in the Army?
Well, for about the first couple of weeks, they didn't know what to do with us exactly. And we were putting shingles on barracks. But then I got to work in a big office there, and I was pretty lucky. I was chief clerk there, in charge of the motor pool and giving instructions to the civilians. And I did a lot of traveling. We made these air courier trips to the various islands in the Philippines. Actually, the Philippines is made up of, I can't recall, either 7,000 or 9,000 islands. And I'd be giving an envelope marked top secret and flown to various envelopes, and most of them were not overnight. So we did an awful lot of traveling.
Okay. And did you see combat in your unit?
No, the war was over. Thank heaven, I was lucky.
Did you see any casualties or anyone that had been shot? Or...
Oh, yes, and oh, gee, it was just terrible. Some fellas that had lost an eye from an exploding grenade. Oh, some of them were just terrible, or limbs. It was just terrible. War is a terrible thing.
Yes. Do you have like maybe a couple of your most memorable experiences in your unit?
Oh, there's so many memorable things we do. The thing that I thoroughly enjoyed is one of the most memorable to me. In the daytime, we played an awful lot of baseball. Just loved baseball. And then at nights, we'd play ping pong. And a lot of the people would play cards and shoot dice and that sort of thing. I never did, you know. I was all wrapped up in baseball.
Okay. Were you awarded any medals or citations?
Oh, well, I had the Good Conduct Medal and the Pacific Theater Medal, and I also had the Extra Infantryman Badge, which was a godsend, because at the time they had that badge. Now, this was way back in 1945 and 46, but that enabled you to get an extra $5 every month, and back then it helped when you were in the service.
Okay, and how did you get your medals and citations?
I guess just for doing what they told us to do, and I was done a little better than average. I was lucky. I was kind of lucky. I never, ever fired any kind of weapon, but I got a real high score in firing the M1 rifle. So I guess I had, at the time, good eyesight.
Okay, how did you stay in touch with your family?
Oh, I wrote letters home to my folks, and one Mother's Day, I thought it'd be nice if I called my mother. So, but that, making long-distance phone calls in those days was quite difficult. This particular day, they had sunspots, so I had to wait around 9 hours trying to get the phone call through. And when my mother answered the phone, it was just like talking to somebody in the next room. She was so pleased about that.
Okay, and what was the food like?
When we first got over the Philippines, it was absolutely terrible. I wouldn't feed it to a dog. But then after 6 months, they got a shipment of eggs, quite a shipment of eggs. So we had fried egg sandwiches. Oh, that was tasted better than a fine steak does now. But then the last, I'd say about the last 3 months, the food got a lot better, much better.
And did you have plenty of supplies?
Oh, yes, we always had plenty, especially towards the tail end.
Did you feel any pressure or stress when you
were? No, I didn't feel any particular stress. Naturally, everybody was anxious to get home, and only stress I had was when we lost a ball game if I made an error.
And was there something special you did for good luck?
Pardon?
Was there something special you did for good luck?
Oh, I didn't do anything especially for good luck.
Okay, how did people entertain themselves?
Well, just like I did. By an awful lot of them played cards or played dice. I guess you call that shooting craps. And an awful lot of them played baseball or ping pong. We kind of entertained ourselves. We naturally would talk about various experiences we'd have at home and our past lives and girlfriends. And at the time, I didn't have a girlfriend. That was before I met my wife. So.
Okay. Were there entertainers at the camp?
I never saw any. Before we went overseas, they called them professional entertainers. They were just kind of corny vaudeville acts.
What did you do when you were on leave in the Army?
Oh, over in the Philippines, I guess I had been over there about 9 or 10 months. Had the most marvelous leave in the world. We went way up to an island called Baguio, way, way up in the northern part of the Philippines. In fact, it was so far north, it was actually cool up there. That was the only time in my life, the first time, that I ever played golf. And the food was wonderful. It was a marvelous resort. But then after that was over, we had to come back to our regular routine.
Okay, and when did you travel while you were in the service? Where?
Oh, I went to, I got the islands I had written down. Mindanao and, as I mentioned before, there were so many islands. I bet I went to about 50 different islands there. Leyte, Mindanao, I can't recall all their names now.
Do you recall any particularly humorous or unusual event?
Well, they had this one kind of a nutty guy in the barracks who was always playing tricks on everybody. And so one night you had to make your beds, your bunks, real good. And when we went out, some guy bought a quart of ice cream and put it in his bed. It was quite hot over there. Then it melted. Naturally, the guy had a fit when he went to bed that night. But, oh, there was all kinds of tricks or horsing around.
Do you have any photographs?
I just brought one photograph.
Okay. What did you think of your fellow officers and soldiers?
Generally, I thought they were just wonderful. There was one fellow that I had been overseas with, and they had a point system before you'd go home, and he happened to be going home about 2 months before me. This fellow was an officer. And he says, give me your folks' name and their phone number. I'll call them up and let them know that everything is just fine with you. He happened to live in Pittsburgh, and he called my folks, and my folks were tickled pink to hear it. He talked for about an hour and a half, told them that I was in good shape, and I came home then about 2 months after that. Okay. There was an awful lot of good guys, especially the guys that I got to know best, the fellows I played ball with.
Okay, and did you keep a personal diary?
No, I've never in my life kept a diary.
Okay. Do you recall the day that your service ended?
I remember coming home, felt wonderful, but actually what happened, when we were coming back on the boat, two fellows smuggled in a couple monkeys. And to this day, I'm not crazy about monkeys, but because of this, we were just dying to get off the ship. Here we'd been over the Philippines for a year, and the ship was quarantined because of the monkeys, so we had to sit out in the bay there before we got out of the ship. These two fellows that smuggled in the monkeys, they put them in jail so they wouldn't get attacked by the other guys.
Okay, where did you go, what did you do in the days and weeks after the war, after you came back?
Oh, right after I first got back, awful lot of my old high school friends were out at the same time. We'd get together and go out, kind of whoop it up and have a lot of fun. And I planned on going to school, but I happened to graduate from high school in mid-year, so I started in the school in, it was right around fall or something like that, and I went to Bradley University in Peoria. And at the time, too, I just had enough points I had to go through 3.5 years, but I did. I took mechanical engineering, and it was kind of tough, but I went through in 3.5 years.
Okay, and was your education supported by the GI Bill?
Yes, the GI Bill was wonderful. Uncle Sam was pretty kind to me. I don't know if I would have gone if it hadn't been for the GI Bill.
Okay, and did you make any close friendships while in service?
Oh, a lot of them. However, they're all over, and so many of them passed away or moved away, and I never did keep up with a lot of the people that I was in a service with. One thing, I wasn't with the same group all the time. I played baseball over there, and they'd have different fellows would come and go, before me, or they'd been over there. But I was with an awful lot of nice fellows in our barracks.
Did you continue any of the relationships that you made?
No, I never did see anybody since.
Did you join a veterans organization?
Well, yes, I belong to the American Legion.
Okay. And what did you go on to do as a career after the war ended?
Well, after I graduated from college, I worked as an engineer at Universal Oil Products and also at the National Accelerator Lab in Batavia, which is a marvelous place to work.
Okay. Did your military experience influence you thinking about the war or about military in general?
Well, being in the service did me a lot of good. Here I was a young fellow, I was just over 19, and I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I think you mature more. I personally think it's a good thing if everybody, when they're real young, goes into service. It just broadens you. So I was in for about 2 years, and oh sure, parts of it were tough and you'd hate some of the training, and they worked you pretty hard, but it did me a world of good. It was wonderful.
Okay, and how did the service and experiences affect you in life?
Well, they gave me a college education, and they made me appreciate this country more. Gee, after you see how terrible things were over in the Philippines and other parts of the world, and the terrible treatment the Philippine people received, it just makes you lucky. It makes you more appreciative of everything. See, your freedom and your freedom to vote, it did me a world of good. It's really good for you.
And is there anything that you would like to add that we have not covered in the interview?
Well, one thing, when I went down to Bradley University about my last year, I went to a dance they had. We were pretty poor at the time. We were living on the GI Bill. But I went to a dance and I met my wife down there. So my wife of over 55 years. So, service did me a lot of good in many ways.
Okay. Freedom? What does freedom mean to you?
Gee. It's just so wonderful to be able to do what you want. It's just the greatest thing in the world. You have no idea how it is in some of these other countries. And I guess the Philippine people weren't free under the Japanese rule. And it's so good to come and go and do what you want, vote for whoever you want. And it's just good all the way around.